Hey guys, we're moving right along through the list of repairs that we need to make before our SV650 here is roadworthy. The next one on the list is to replace the bent radiator that looks like it got bent upwards in toward the engine whenever the bike went down at some point and never repaired. On the bright side, it's not currently leaking, so we could probably just get away with leaving it, but I don't like to leave stuff that's a critical component unrepaired. So we're gonna go ahead and fix that today. I've got a new radiator, I've got some tools, I've got a couple hours to kill, so let's get after it. Before we can do much else, we need to drain the coolant out of the cooling system so that we can disassemble this without the coolant just leaking all over the place. The way you do that is you remove this drain plug right here. It's going to start dripping like this until you also loosen the radiator cap up here at the radiator. It's kept in place by this obnoxious little screw. If you want to remove it, you got to remove that screw first. But beware that when you do, if you have the drain plug removed, the coolant's going to come out of there in a torrent. Just like that. I'm not sure what the deal is with this blue coolant. I assume maybe it's that funny engine ice stuff. As long as you can assume that no children or animals or anything are going to get into your garage and drink it, you can go off and leave this for a while and let it finish dripping out of there. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to come back maybe after dinner to finish the job once this is all the way drained out. One of the things I'm going to have to do while I've got this apart, because I'm not putting this weird blue coolant back in, is flush the system out with regular water a couple of times to make sure that I get all of whatever this is out. So what I want to do first to make that process easier is let this drain as thoroughly as I can. And chances are it's going to take it quite a while before it stops dripping. Okay, we're back. It's a couple of hours later, and as we can see, we've got no more coolant dripping from our coolant drain. So we can put our drain plug back in there. I don't really know if these are the original hose clamps. They don't seem like they should be, but maybe they are. All right. So we'll start with our fingers and see if we can just peel it back a little bit. See if we can get it. There we go. Broken loose. There we go. There's one disconnected. All right. You know what? I'm a sissy. I'm getting pliers for that. 22 fits on there pretty good. There we go. I have a feeling that when I remove this, the rad is just going to, may just fall out, or it may still be attached by the wiring for the fan. Alright, so we gotta lift the tank up here so that we can access the wiring for the fan, because you can't see where it goes from below. And also because I just love using that little prop rod. Okay, open the sesame. And we may have to take this air box out too. So we'll lift our air box out once again. Pull that back. This rubber condom thing. And we've got 3 connectors, one of which is the one right there. That one is for the cooling fan. So we'll disconnect him, fish it out the front. And we've got this one here that for the temperature sensor. Now that I've got that disconnected, is I'm gonna try to get it out of here. We got a flathead screwdriver here. You don't gotta be ham-fisted with it or anything. Just kind of break the rubber loose where it's stuck onto the metal after 17 years of being on there. Watch out if it sprays you in the face with coolant mist when it breaks loose. Now, with that broken loose. You put that there. Now our radiator can come out. Goes out this way, apparently. Ta-da! There's our prize. Okay, gents. Our next order of business is to swap all of our old parts that we need for the new radiator onto the new radiator. So we've got the cooling fan here, we've got the coolant sensor, and at some point we also need to do these little decorative shield things on the ends that I guess are they supposed to be like sliders? Maybe that's what they're for. I'd always assumed that those were just decorative, but maybe they're supposed to protect this or something. We got our 3 little pins there. The fan comes off. Isn't it cute? They don't seem like they're gonna fit super well. Huh. We can make them fit. Can you do them this way? We may have to just put a nut on the back of these, actually. Here's our coolant sensor. It has this little O-ring on it that's kind of misshapen, but otherwise installing it should just be a matter of screwing it into our boss port there. But because we've got this apart, we're going to see if we can't replace that O-ring. And I think this here, put that guy on our thing here and see how that... You want to be careful not to chew the O-ring up when you put it on there. Well, that looks like it'll probably be okay. We're going to give that a shot anyway. Luckily, this is not a terribly difficult part to reach. I'm going to give that just a little bit of a turn with the wrench so that our wiring faces downward. I'm assuming we didn't totally jabberbuge our O-ring. That ought to be okay. Fan here. Okay. The reason I'm doing this, if I wasn't clear, is that the little nut things that originally held the old one together rely on these little mounting tabs being a particular thickness. On this new radiator, the tabs are just a hair thicker. They look like maybe a 1/16 of an inch versus like a 32nd of an inch. That's enough to be a pain in the neck. Where's my last nut? So now we can... There we go. And that is our radiator reassembled with our fan and our coolant sensor. Now it's ready to go back in the bike. Hopefully with the horn out of the way, we'll have a little more room to work. Fits not too terribly. Okay, well that's super irritating. At issue is the fact that this new rad has a slightly different fill neck right here. And as a result, this bolt doesn't want to go in there with the metal bushing in. So my solution is to put the bolt in without the metal bushing and put the metal bushing in from the other side. That one in. The other side should be less of a problem because there's nothing in the way. Get our clamp up here kind of there. Go ahead and slide that on there. See, with this knot bent, got all sorts of room to get at that. Go ahead and tighten that one, I think. I used to not be a fan of the hose clamps that Mazda used. They're kind of a spring deal that you put on and remove with a pair of pliers. New ones would come from the factory with this little clip on them. They're already opened, so you just stick them on the hose and pull the clip off, and they go sproing, and they grab the hose and hold it tight. They're real fast to assemble. If you could find an inexpensive source for those are amazing, because they grip really well, and they're just not as crummy as these little worm drive ones like this, but there we go. We're all done on this side, except for this little shield skid plate thing that we'll do later. Our overflow bottle thing. And this guy. Wiggle our hose clamp over the knobbiness. There. Okay, now we can reconnect our temperature sensor and our cooling fan connector, and then put the little rubber condom thing back around it. There's a whole mess of wires here. You gotta get this thing around all of them, theoretically. There we go. Okay. Tell me this will reach. No! Damn it! Unfortunately, this horn connector does not connect to anything that can be easily disconnected. So we gotta back this nut, or this bolt out here. Hopefully we can fish it through there. So the situation we're dealing with here is that I need to get the wire for the horn back around to about right here, so I can put the horn back on. And the radiator is now in the way. And the clearance between all these parts is just a hair too small to fit the connector through any other way. So what I gotta do is hope I can get this bolt out. Maybe get enough play in the rad that I can... Oh, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, there we go. All that, just for that. Okay. Which goes this way, I believe. Everything reconnected. I think we're done with this guy. So we can lower the fuel tank. All right, well, you remember how I said a minute ago that you generally get decent results with these eBay parts? Okay, here's the cap for the radiator. And no matter how I seem to put it on here, and remember this is the bolt that you can't just back out, it fouls on the cap. And it's like, how are you supposed to get this on there? I wonder, can I at least use the Suzuki one? I bet I can. Maybe. Maybe. Okay. So the real deal Suzuki one works. But the one that this comes with, okay, well that's not so bad. So we take our regular funnel and we start filling it up. And as you do, you're gonna wanna watch for leaks. One of the nice things about using distilled water the first time you do this is that if you have a leak or a spill, it's just water. So we're gonna let that simmer for just a minute and drain down into the bowels of the engine if it wants. Before we drain it out, it might be a good idea to start the engine up and let it run for a few seconds to start pumping that through just in case. All right, good little cleaning up. We're ready to run the engine for a few seconds and cycle the water through the engine before we can shut it off and drain the water out. The purpose of this being we want to flush all of the old coolant out because we don't know if we can mix the old and the new, because we don't know what type the old is other than disturbingly blue. So, this is going to be loud. I apologize if you can't hear me talking after this. Fire in the hole. Okay, that's probably good enough for now. We just wanna get the coolant moving through there a little bit. And now we can go and drain the water out. Let that drip for a few minutes. The water is coming out clear. You may have to take my word for it. But the water's coming out clear there, so I think one flush is probably enough. Some engines are more difficult about that than others. Got our drain plug back in, got our funnel in here, and I've got about half a liter of coolant mixed up from whenever the last time I did an operation like this was. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in there now. Before we do that, let's pour just a hint in with the old and make sure it doesn't catch fire or something. No? Okay. So we're gonna start filling with our already mixed coolant. So put our funnel back in the neck. Oh yeah, one other thing you need to do, the overflow bottle. Don't forget to empty out the overflow bottle if you're changing the type of coolant. Overflow hose off the bottom of the overflow tank. Get all the coolant out of the bottom of it that way. Well, okay, nothing in there anyway. Okay, so we're gonna make sure there's nothing in there by pouring a little bit of regular water in there. Okay, dribbles out the bottom. So don't forget to put your hose back on, like completely inaccessible without unbolting the engine or something. It can't just be like in the back something, like a Kawasaki. All right. So the bottle was empty. Could be good, could be bad. But now we start the engine up again and let it run for a little while, observe the coolant level and make sure it doesn't drop. The smoke you see coming off of there down there is steam. Water got into the header wrap the previous owner put on there. It's now boiling off. Nothing to worry about. All right, gents. That's pretty much all there is to it. There's a couple of steps I didn't show because I don't have the ability to do them on this bike, which is a drag. If you're doing this on your bike, hopefully your bike is close enough to stock that you can do this, but what you want to do is keep an eye on the temperature gauge, which the one on this bike doesn't seem to work, and make sure that one, the engine doesn't overheat, and two, the engine gets up to temperature. If it doesn't, you could have a number of different problems. So if you have a temperature gauge, as you should on any reasonably modern motorcycle, you should keep an eye on that. Otherwise, I have to do this basically by feel. And one of the ways you can do that is to just let the engine run until the cooling fan comes on. So that's what I did. I let it idle for 15 minutes or so. Eventually the cooling fan came on and call that good. I wish I could have shown that on camera, but you can't see down there anyway. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. Next on the to-do list is maybe the shock and battery. I really want to do that before I ride it. But yeah, if you came here looking for mechanical advice, I hope this helped you out somewhat. If you came here looking for entertainment, watching me get coolant on my hands, I hope you were entertained, and I will see you in the next one.